It's 12 noon in London, 7 a.m. in Philadelphia, and around the world it's time for Live Aid. 16 hours of live music in aid of famine relief in Africa. Wembley welcomes their Royal Highnesses, the Prince and Princess of Wales.
So there you go, Live Aid, 13th of July 1985. Where were you? What were you doing? And okay, you weren't around. Well, that's social right being too young to listen to this show. I put this show together. It's a little bit really of a personal retrospect of where I was and what I was doing. Yes, of course, it's all about me. Yes, I know I haven't done a show for 6 months. And what, you really thought the format was going to change? No, it's going to be the same old stuff. But what I'm going to do, as well as all the loads and loads of info I'm going to put in, I'm going to sort of reflect on how things were generally. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to go into any of the politics because Holly doesn't do that, of which there was a lot going on at the time, even the politics of Live Aid itself. I've done some research as the week has gone on. I've watched a few television programmes about this so that I was up to speed, even though I was actually there. But so I was up to speed, and yeah, it was all quite heavy going. So really, what we're going to concentrate on for the next hour is more like the music of it and what went behind it, and the fashions with all the wide hair and the makeup. And the girls were quite bad as well. But that's just how it went in 85. So sit back, kick your feet up, enjoy some of the stuff. All these things I'm putting out to you as videos. If you want to see what's happening, just pop over to my own website, hollymiami.com. I'll put the address up in the main chat room in a minute, hollymiami.com, and click on the Twitch box, which is at the top of the site. You're not going to join or anything like that. Just click on the box and you'll see the videos, and you'll see a little bit of what I look like. And that's not good, but you'll see the videos anyway, so it's half there. So there you go, Style Council. I'm playing these videos in the roughly in the order that they appeared in the concert all that time ago. Style Council with the best thing, and we obviously opened up with Status Quo, rocking all over the world. I think there was a little bit of a lottery who was actually going to go on first. Bearing in mind, this had never ever been done like this before. 2 concerts, one in Britain, one in America, happening at the same time. Nothing had ever gone on like this. So you can imagine even the best stars of the day were a smidge overwhelmed by the whole thing. But Quo went on first, and obviously they had to open up with Rockin' All Over the World. But what I love about the Style Council track, and this is I'm going to get really controversial here, obviously Paul Weller went into Style Council, and the musicality behind that jazz funk and the drumming and all the rest of it is shed loads better than the Al Grot he used to put out in Jam. But that's my personal view, and yes, that will fill the chat room up. So I've got lots and lots of facts. I've printed lots of stuff out here, so you'll hear lots of paper rattling and things like that. They reckon 1.5 billion people watched Live Aid in 1985, and there was 72,000 in Wembley Stadium, and you can see this behind me in the drop, and obviously the same drop I've got on the website this month. 72,000 in Wembley. It had never been done like this before. Obviously they had big football crowds, but they'd never actually filled the pitch up as well. There was more and more things that were being pushed forward technically than anything else, which, as I say, we'll go on with as we travel on through it. But basically, it all came on the success of Band Aid with Do They Know It's Christmas, which happened the previous December, so December 84. Yes, I know I'm sounding a bit like a documentary, but it's important stuff. And the same 2 people, Bob Geldof and Midge Ure, said, right, okay, what can we do that's even better? And it turns out that Boy George actually came up with the idea for these concerts, even though he never appeared for, and I will go into the reasons a bit later on. So it's all sorts of strange quirks, but mostly, if you were around and if you did see it, you knew then that it was something that was never, ever going to be repeated. And I know they've done other concerts similar, but the first one was always the best. Yes, a couple of little housekeeping notes. You'll hear all sorts of strange noises in the background, and you'll hear a fan noise. Unfortunately, I'm quite used to in my little studio here in Hollyville, I'm quite used to having to work when the temperature outside are in the 30s, which they are at the moment. And I can remember one a couple of years ago where the mixer, metal body audio mixer I use, it got so hot I couldn't actually touch the metal. So yeah, I've got a rather large fan that I invested in on a pedestal a few feet away, and it may pick up on the mic, but hey ho, it's either that or I melt away. So a few things about where we were all at in 1985. Previous to that, I'd gone through some sort of ups and downs, job-wise and everything else. But by 85, I was sort of started off on my career thing. So I had a reasonably good day job. I was playing in the bands, obviously, like I did back then. So I was doing sort of 2 jobs. And the people who are on the Twitch are going to get to see something that everybody else isn't. So when I say I was playing in the bands, that was me in 1985. In fact, I think that was probably within a couple of days of the Live Aid gig itself. And that's a little bit what I look like, but there you go. It's the sort of thing that everybody was optimistic about. And the music itself was of its time, but it's just the way it all carried through. So anyway, that was Rat Trap that we just heard from Boomtown Rats, and one of the organisers, Bob Geldof. So obviously we got to follow him up with one from Ultravox, cause they were the other one. So you may have wondered why on that particular video there was lines crawling down some of the pictures. Basically, and again, so the story goes and so the research goes, they had never put a stage together like this before. Now, if you've ever done any stage work or any DJ work or anything like that, you'll understand how important this is. The stage, bearing in mind all the artists were given, I think, between 15 and 17 minutes each, and they had to get them on and off quickly. Even though they had London and Philadelphia, they had to move them quickly, so they had a stage that rotated. Now, we've seen these before, in fact I've actually played on them, but this one was a 3-way rotating stage, so that basically the band in front of you was playing, they rotated it round, that band was getting stripped down the same time as the next band was getting put together, and all this sort of stuff, all very clever. But the lines down the video were basically that the sound system, yet again, they'd never put anything together so big ever before. It was something like, I think the speakers had the capability of being something like 160 kilowatts of power. I don't know what the amps were putting out, but it was, and basically the lines were just 2 cameras that were in front of the stage, and they worked out later on. Bear in mind, this is the BBC, and they're supposed to know what they're doing about this sort of thing. The screws in the cameras were rattling because the sound was so loud, and that was the lines down the picture. There we are. Little bit of knowledge. You stick with me, kid. Okay, all naffed off in the pub. Fair enough, I'll shut up then. So obviously Spandau Ballet with True, my particular favourite song of that era. But it was right. So technically, as we said, lots of different techie things went on, and the more famous ones that anybody who knew about what was happening then was Phil Collins. Now, somebody came up with the idea, and again, on one of these television programmes, it turns out the British Airways, who ran Concorde at the time, came up with the idea that because it was half the normal time, travelling time between UK and America, they came up with the idea, and Phil Collins jumped on it, that basically he played in London. I think his set was about 1:30, 2 o'clock. They helicoptered him to Heathrow. He jumped straight on a Concorde with a load of other celebs and all the rest of it, flew to New York. Now, bearing in mind, I think Concorde was running so fast you get to America before you started or something. It's all weird time zone stuff. They helicoptered him to Philadelphia, and he played the second gig in Philadelphia. So this was the sort of thing that was going on, and there was some talk about while they were on Concorde, and I believe Noel Edmonds was part of this. He was actually on the plane. They tried to do a live video broadcast. Now, bear in mind, this is 1985. There's no FaceTime or anything like that. It was not invented for years to come, but they tried to do a video broadcast from Concorde. The video didn't work, but they managed to do a broadcast from the plane. And this is the sort of thing that was going on. People were just so taken with the whole thing that they were attempting to push the boundaries on virtually everything. So the absolutely delightful Sade with Your Love Is King. I believe she'd only just broken in 84, 85. She was quite new to us all back then. So obviously in the interim 40 years, a lot of people have heard a lot of rumours about what went on. And yet again, doing my research on this, it turns out, and I was talking to Bossman John about this a couple of days ago, it turns out, according to the official sources, now these are the official sources, Bob Geldof never actually said, "Give us the effing money." Now, it's funny because I thought I could remember him saying it. John is reasonably convinced he said it, but a couple of different sources have said it. Basically, what he did say was basically they were sat doing one of the links and said, you know, here are the addresses to send your money in. And Bob was a little bit fed up that not a lot of money had come in at that point. And he said, F this, just give them the phone numbers. And that is the truth, according to official sources. But I tell you what, I'm reasonably convinced he said, give us the effing money. But hey ho, who am I to dispute such things? So there you go, that was Paul Young with Come Back and Stay. Yes, techie stuff. Well, obviously everybody was going bonkers on trying to outdo everybody else. And I think it was David Bowie and Mick Jagger came up with this idea. They weren't going to jump on Concorde because Phil Collins had already nicked that idea. But they were going to do a duet live from the two concerts. I believe Mick Jagger was in the States and Bowie was in the UK, and they intended to stand on the two stages and sing a live duet together. Well, the techie guys absolutely tore their hair out, and that was something else that didn't actually make it. What they were trying to do, they were saying, can we do this? And then somebody say, I don't know, we'll give it a go. It must have been absolutely bonkers. Like I say, bearing in mind this was the BBC, that up until then it was all very Radio 4 and all very structured and everything else. But nah, it was they were a sense of maverick amongst it all. It really, really was something a bit special. Obviously Dire Straits there with Sting doing the I Want My like he did on the original record, but not on their stage shows. So amongst the plenty of other things that went around are things like that stick in the news. Simon Le Bon and Duran Duran were obviously doing a part, and they called it the bum note that went around the world, because basically Simon Le Bon hit a wrong note right on one of the really important ones, and everybody sort of remembered it. The trouble being, it was alongside something they called the note that went around the world, and everybody's aware that what happened at the time, just previous to Live Aid, the band Queen were going through a bit of a bad patch, and if you've seen the film, I think it's Bohemian Rhapsody with Rami Malek, it shows that basically they were in a tough spot, and Live Aid effectively glued the band back together on the back of performances like this. Freddie Mercury, Queen. Sam picked up on this. They reckon the clapping and waving your arms in the air thing actually started at that concert. I don't know if that's true or not, but it certainly epitomises it. And that song, you can't see any performance of that song without people doing the arms in the air thing. But you see what I mean about the note that went around the world. Performances like that summed it up. Right, the next little clip is only a short little clip, and as I said at the outset when the show started, I was concentrating on Wembley because basically, you know, it's the one I remember, it's the one that was on the television most. But there is a little clip here from Tina Turner and Mick Jagger. Now, Tina and Mick, neither of them were particularly backward in coming forward when it come to being show people. But Mick pulled off a stunt. I mean, if you're watching it, great, you'll see in a minute. And for years, people said it was staged. You have a look on Tina Turner's face and tell me if that's staged. Tina Turner, Mick Jagger doing the Philadelphia concert, Tina losing her skirt and having to run off stage to get something to put on. You see what I mean? About people pushing the boundaries and all sorts of things. She was shocked. She was definitely shocked. Now, talking of firsts, Elton John, George Michael, they reckon Elton really took the mick. But I think he played all his songs over time and everything else. But they also reckon this is the first time this duet was ever heard. So there you go, Live Aid, July 1985. As I said at the top of the show, if you were there, I wasn't actually in the stadium, but if you were there, it stuck with me for 40 years. And we all knew then that we were all part of something special. Perhaps I'll do another show in another 40 years. Another 10 years, we'll see. But there you go. We're going to go out on the finale, which is a version of Paul McCartney, Let It Be, with a load of people coming on stage with him. And I will let you just soak it all up. So until we meet again, until I decide to do another show or something, this is Holly Miami wishing you all the best for the rest of the evening and simply saying bye-bye.